Hello and welcome to Audio Gyan, an Indian podcast for those interested in design, philosophy, and arts. Audio Gyan documents thoughts, ideas, and insights from known and unknown gems of India who have done some remarkable work in their field of interest. Visit audiogyan.com for more Gyan sessions. Today I have a guest who needs no introduction, Rajat Kapoor. But just for the formality, Rajat is an actor, writer and director born in 1961 Delhi. He's famous for work in Dil Chahta Hai and many other films, but one of my favorite, Aankhon Dekhi. He's very active in theatre, but today we'll be speaking about independent cinema in general. So thanks Rajat for giving us your time. It's a real honor to have you on Audio Gyan.
Thank you, Kedar. My pleasure.
Yeah. So today we'll try and understand the landscape of overall Indian independent cinema in India. So the first thing which I wanted to ask you is, what is independent cinema? I mean, what defines it? Is it the way it is distributed? Is it the way it's financed? Is it something parallel cinema? What exactly is, just to set context, what is independent cinema?
You know, in a way, all these definitions are correct. Independent cinema is that which is not mainstream. It does not have stars. It does not have the formula that mainstream has. Distribution pattern is different and all of that. True. But to my understanding, independent cinema is something that is independent in its thought, you know, and that is what I think really defines it. So I would say Christopher Nolan is an independent filmmaker.
Oh.
You know, he makes films which are, I don't know, $100 million budget or more. But for me, he's or Coen brothers in the US, or Woody Allen, in spite of studio backing or not, I don't think that is eventually the mark of an independent film. But a film which tries to do something, how shall I say it? But a film that has the stamp of the director's vision on it.
Okay.
You know, which makes it a unique expression, which makes it like any other film ever made.
Okay.
You know, and I think that is the beginning of independent thinking. I'm very attracted to what the Cahiers du Cinema people started in the late 50s and early 60s as the auteur theory, you know. So they looked at Hitchcock and they looked at John Ford and Howard Hawks. And they said, even though these filmmakers are working with the studio system, with big stars, there is a thread linking all their films. There's an author there.
Okay.
And that became the author theory. There's a definite signature of the filmmaker in the way the stories go, in the way the camera moves, in the way the lens. There is a, you know, you look at a painting of Van Gogh, and you know it's a Van Gogh.
Yeah.
You know, there is no
Two thoughts
question
about
there.
it. Yeah.
So that is the kind of stamp that a filmmaker can have or should have, I think, or any work of art should have. If it does not, then what are you doing? Then what are you making? If it's an anonymous film that anybody else could have made, it's no good, in my thinking.
But does that mean that you intentionally not make it from a commercial standpoint?
I think that is the given. Because if you see, when you're making a film from the commercial standpoint, like you said, then that comes before anything else, right?
Oh, okay.
Because that defines the genre, that defines the treatment, that defines everything. So you've already started from the wrong end, I would say. When you're writing a book, you don't start saying, okay, I want to sell 5 million copies. No, you can't write like that.
Yeah.
You're writing because there is something within you that needs to come out. And it needs to come out in your voice. That is the most important. Otherwise, it's shit.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah. Makes sense. So yeah, I mean, what is the biggest challenge which India cinema is facing today?
Today or yesterday or tomorrow, it's not very different. The main challenge has been funding. Who funds this kind of cinema?
Yeah.
In the 70s, when NFDC was formed in India, that really gave a boost to. It was not known as indie cinema at that time. They were called art films or parallel films or whatever they were called. But filmmakers like Kumar Shani, Mani Kaul, Saeed Mirza, Kundan Shah, Vinod Chopra, everybody, Ketan Mehta, everybody more or less made their first film through NFDC or some other form of state funding. Then NFDC stopped producing films by mid 80s or 90s. And that became a really, I think, a dark decade for Indian cinema in terms of new creative ideas.
And may I know why did they stop?
This whole thing about liberalization, that state should not be looking at interfering or intervening in arts. So there was a withdrawal.
Okay.
Maybe films should find their own money, and which is fine as an idea, but I think it really hurt the whole movement, because I think the state needs to be active when it concerns art. So anyway, that happened. It's a historical thing now.
Yeah.
You can't go back and change it.
Yeah.
And then multiplexes started in early 2000. And we thought this is a new space for our kind of films. Which it was for about 6 or 7 years. Also, what happened that the audience, which had stopped going to cinema in the 80s and 90s because the state of our cinema halls was very bad.
Yeah.
Satellite television had come in, so people had stopped going out and started staying in.
Yeah.
With the coming of the multiplexes, this audience ventured out again, and this was in the metros. Was our audience.
Yeah.
So films like Hosta Ka Ghosla or in my case Mixed Doubles, Raghu Romeo or Bheja Fry were made in that time, and it looked like there's a new opening. But again, by 2008, 2009, I think the mainstream cinema made a big comeback, and this little space of multiplexes was taken over by the mainstream again. So things are not so bright again, even though I would say that there is an audience.
Yeah.
It's very little in number, but there is an audience which is demanding better content, which is exposed to world cinema because of DVDs, etc., etc.
Torrent.
And torrent, exactly.
Yeah.
So there is an audience, but unfortunately, like you said, this audience would rather watch our films on torrent, online, without paying for the bloody ticket.
Yeah.
So that's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So there is an audience, there is a hope that things will get better now with the coming of Netflix and Amazon and other platforms. For example, Aankhon Dekhi, which not many people saw in the cinemas, has been watched constantly on television, on Star Select, on Netflix, and every day I get 2, 3, 5 people tweeting to me,
Yes.
"Sir, I just saw your film." So in that sense, films have a life if they're worthy of it. So it's both good and bad. I mean, it's exciting, but my thing, Kedar, is constantly not about the circumstances around us. That has been there, will be there, but that can't stop you from doing what you want to do, from doing what you believe in. So finally, I think the buck stops at the filmmakers. We have to push ourselves. We have to really push the envelope. We have to think of
various ways to fund yourself.
Not only fun, but I'm saying we get we compromise too easily, maybe, and we cry too easily, and we say this is not there, that is not there. I mean, screw it. If it is not there, find another way. But we can't stop pushing ourselves. We can't stop pushing ourselves from doing greater work, better work. Otherwise, then it's the end.
Yeah. So I mean, it's great to hear like this and so much passion to build cinema. But so the next thing which naturally flows is what is the need of such kind of a cinema? I mean, what's the role of such films in society? And
good question.
Yeah, why do indie cinema exist even?
Good question. Why does art exist?
Why does flowers bloom?
That is one way of answering it. The other way is that why do you need kebab? I mean, have your dal and chawal and be happy, no? You have dal and chawal.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. You have your roti and gobi. But once in a while you need something else. You need something better. Why do you need it? Why do you eat broccoli?
Yeah.
Screw it. But it's not about sustenance. Why do we need art? I don't know. Because we will get by, in a way, very easily without art. Or okay, let me put it another way. Why do you need love? Why do you need love?
Yeah.
You don't need love.
Yeah.
You need sex. You need to procreate. You need to have children and have sex, and because sex might be a physical need, an urge, so you fulfill that. But why do you need love? What does it do? And still you need it. You crave. Because beyond the body and beyond the mind, there are other needs. There are spiritual needs. There is a need of need to understand things. And I think art somehow fulfills that need. It has no purpose in a way, and yet without it you will die. It'll be dry. Why do you need to look at a tree? But you look at it because it's beautiful. You look at it because it's beautiful. It does something to your soul. It does enrich you in ways you can't, which is not tangible. Why do you stand on the seashore and look at the waves, for hours? What does it do? And yet, it makes a point. It makes a point of where you are in this universe. What does your existence mean? And I think art continuously strives to do that. Whether it's a book. Why do you listen to music? I mean,
Yeah. Classical music. Maybe.
Classical music. Why would you do that? What does it do to you?
Yeah.
So why shouldn't everybody sing in the same way which sells, for example? But no, beauty has no point. I'm sorry, and yet I think it's essential for us to live.
Oh.
I would die without beauty. I'm sure most of us will. I think art fulfills that need. It's not so much about message. It's not so much about making a better world. Of course, it is. Everything that we do, we hope that it'll be a better world. So in the long run, yes, everything is directed towards that, but not in a one-to-one thing. It's not that I make a film like this and this will change. No, art can't do that. Because this is not a propaganda film, or it's not but it gives you an
But art
experience.
has that power, right, to change mindsets of people and change perspectives in society at large, right?
Right. It does, absolutely. But everything does. That everything does. I mean, you take a stand and it changes something. There's a man on Juhu Circle, I haven't seen him in a couple of years, but this oldish man with a beautiful smile, he stands at the crossing with a placard in his hand, which says, Apne dharm par chalo, sabse pyar karo.
Wow.
In Hindi and in English. He stands there for 2-3 hours every day. He's changing the world in his own way, And I really believe that everything you do, every step you take, every breath you take has the potential of change, So yeah, everything does. And art is one little cog in that big wheel. But it does more, is what I'm trying to say. While it does change the world, it has the power to change the world, it gives you something else. It gives you a moment of bliss.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember one quote by which Pula Deshpande had quoted in I think it's a Chinese proverb or something, where if you earn 1 rupee, 50 paise you buy rice and 50 paise you buy a flower. So
Yeah,
rice will make you live and flower will tell you how to live.
Yeah,
So
it's so beautiful. Exactly that.
Yeah.
Rice you need because your body needs it, and flour you need for everything else.
Yeah, beautiful. Cool. The next one is, what do you see? Where do you see future of indie cinema in India in the next couple of decades? Because you're very active, you're trying to fund your own film through crowdfunding, which I'll talk about later. But where do you see the future, and what's the future like? I'm hoping it's bright, but your perspective.
Kedar, the thing is, I'm an optimist. I'm an optimist every single minute of my life. So, if you ask an optimist this question, he will say, yes, it's very bright.
Yeah.
It is bright because there are some people who believe. It is not bright because of the circumstances. It's not bright because socially we are geared towards it. No. But it's bright only because, let's say, there are 50, 100, 1,000, 10,000 people who believe in what they're doing. I mean, people like you. You have this thing, Audio Gyan. I mean, why would anybody do this and waste his time and money on it?
Yeah.
You know? But there are people with passion and they follow their passion. And if the future is bright, it's because of that, I think.
Okay.
On the other hand, as I think literacy rates improve in our country, as more and more people are educated, they will ask for better things. You know, so
Educated in a audience sense.
In a higher sense, because art really comes at a very high end of education. Education is not about being literate, but also in a country where, I keep saying it a lot, in a country where 50% of the population does not have enough food to eat, or 28% is below poverty line. I mean, to expect that there will be an understanding or an appreciation of art is a bit much.
Yeah.
First, you have to make those things, which really matter to them, work, sanitation, food, work, a job, education.
Yeah.
And when all these needs are satisfied, then, you might look at a flower. Otherwise, really, there's no time to look at the flower because you're worried about your next meal.
Yeah.
Screw the flower. Where is my food?
Yeah.
So, in that sense, in 20 years, let's say, when hopefully we would have met some of these needs, maybe people will be more open to art.
Cool. I think, these were the few questions which were regarding overall independent cinema, and the last one which I have, which is a personal thing to be asked, is your production house is called Mithya Talkies, right?
That's right.
So what does it signify? What does it mean? And I'll have a follow-up question on that as well.
Well, it came from the film I made in 2009, which was called Mithya.
What does it mean?
It means that what you see is not what you get. It's a lie. Everything is a lie.
Yeah.
We believe we are doing this, but what if you were dreaming? When you dream something, it is absolutely real. You believe it. You experience it. But when you wake up, you realize, oh, that was a dream. So suppose tomorrow morning, I wake up and I never met Kedar. I dreamt it.
Yeah.
That is the mithya that we have to accept. Our lives are happening as we experience it. But one has to be in a perspective where it could all be a lie.
So I connected this dot with my personal experience, which was Godard's line that cinema being the biggest fraud.
No, Godard also said cinema is truth 24 frames a second.
Yeah. They were like, these...
So this is exactly the paradox, that it is all true, and yet, which is the idea of Maya in Indian philosophy, that it is all there. Of course it is there.
Yeah.
And yet it's Maya. It's not really there. Your mind is making you believe that it's there. It's not really there.
Yeah. So the last and the follow-up question was, so what excites you to do cinema? Why do you make films?
I have asked myself this question a couple of times when there were long periods of wait between films, and I have asked myself why. I mean, there were times of frustration when I said, screw it, yaar. Why should I go and meet another producer and then beg for money and in fact be humiliated in a way? Why do you do this? And the answer I came up with simply is that it's a sickness. It's a disease that I can't get rid of. It's not like that I say, okay, brush my hands and say, I'm not going to make another film. It's not possible. I have to make another film. So it's almost a compulsion. It's a good disease to have.
Obviously. Yeah. We need it.
We need it. Otherwise, life will be shit. It is not. It's nothing. It's not about money. It's not about fame. It's a thing that has to be done. Something. Also, it's the only thing I know, apart from theatre and a little bit of acting. This is the only thing I know. This is the thing that I've spent now almost 30 years of my life doing it. And I'm getting slightly better at it, This is the other thing which is interesting, Kedar, that some of these things, actually most things, there is no end to it. How deep, after 20 years, 25 years, you start feeling, okay, I'm learning something, I'm not so bad. But there's no end to it. You can keep learning.
Yeah. Go deeper and deeper.
Deeper and deeper and never reach the end of it.
Yeah.
I've started doing Tai Chi for the last 2.5 years.
Oh, wow.
And it's another thrill like this, that after 5 years of Tai Chi, I would be saying, okay, not bad. Now I'm almost beginning to understand it. And you can really go on for decades and still learn things every day. So there's something new every time you when I write a script, and I've been writing now for 25 years, and I'm not bad, but every script is a new challenge. It's not that because I've written so many, it'll come easy. No, it never comes easy. So every time there's a
demanding and challenging both.
Demanding and challenging, and every script comes with its own unique problems. So what you learned there, you can't apply here. You have to crack it all over again. And then that is nice. That is the big challenge which keeps you going.
Yeah, cool. I think that's a good note to end this. On a concluding note, I wish all the best for your next film, RK.
Let's talk a little about RK.
Yeah, sure. What is the film about? And I've done my research, and you have a crowdfunding format where you are trying to raise money through crowdera.com, and so I urge my listeners at least to contribute as much as they can for the film, so that we have more films like Aankhon Dekhi. So can you tell us more about RK?
What happened, Kedar, after Aankhon Dekhi was released in 2014 and it got whatever critical acclaim and awards and the love of the audience, very important. I couldn't still raise money for my next film. And in the intervening years, I wrote 4 scripts. And with these 4 scripts, I met almost all the producers. And they're still not willing to fund my film, which, as you would imagine, is very frustrating.
Yeah.
And I'd given myself the deadline of June this year, 2017. I decided if I don't get money through the proper channel, I will start crowdfunding my film, which is what we did in July. We launched RK on crowdera.com. So funding has started to trickle in. We've already raised about 25 lakhs, but we have a long way to go on that.
Yeah.
But another interesting thing happened while when I started this crowdfunding thing. Again, unknown person to me came from Calcutta. His name is Arun Gauri Saraiya, and he said, I have little money, but I don't want to be part of this crowdfunding thing. Do you have another script that you want to do? I said, there's another script.
Yeah.
So in fact, we are shooting that film called Kadak in November, December this year.
Oh, nice.
And it's incredible how these things happen, when you really put yourself out there and say, okay, no matter what, I'm going to do it, it gets done, So we're making Kadak next month, November, December, and we'll start shooting RK by middle of next year.
Okay,
So I'm pushing every which way to get more funding for it.
Yeah.
It'll come. Like I said, I'm an optimist. So it'll come.
As per my knowledge, it needs around 2.5 crores.
2.5 crores is what we're looking at. But all of it may not come through the crowdfunding platform. But I'm hoping at least 50 to 60% will come, and then others will join in. So no matter what, RK will get made next year.
Sure. We are looking forward for it, and all the best for it.
Thank you
and once
much.
again, thanks a lot for giving us your time, and it was a privilege to talk to you.
Pleasure talking to you, Kedar.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So that's it from today's Gyan session with Rajat Kapoor. Stay tuned for more Gyan on Audio Gyan next week. Till then, bye.